So my name is Tanner Rouse. I'm running for state senate. I'm good. You sure? I appreciate it. I'm running for state senate, the 26th district, which starts up at Upper Darby, right at the city line, and goes kind of down Route 1 and 95. So you go through Springfield, through Ridley, Prospect Park, Ridley Park, and gets to about Media. This is just about the base of the district, and you make a right out 252 to Marple, Newtown, and then into Chester County, Willistown, and Easttown. So that's the district. It has about 256,000 people in it, and as many of you are shaking your head and noting, that is an incredibly diverse district, and I think we'll touch on that a number of times tonight. But the district encompasses places that are very, very different. So why am I running? I'm running because I have a 19-month-old son who is going to grow up in this world. And I think one day he is going to ask me what I did while all of this was going on. We are in a time that is truly deeply historic. I believe this in my bones. We need to stand up and account for ourselves. My son will ask me, what did you do while this hate was coming from our government? So I'm standing up. I'm here with all of you, and I'm hoping for your support in doing that. The most important issue to my district, and Janice, I appreciate the question, the most important issue to me is the most important issue to my district. And that is the funding of our schools and making sure that all kids in this community can grow up with a good education that has them ready to go into the workforce, to go into college, to be members of society in whatever capacity they want to be. That has to be our priority. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm trying to do. So thank you all very much. So, Janice, this is something that
Do you want that microphone?
I don't think so. I think I'll be able to project enough. This is something that we need to fight each and every day to ensure, and it has to be done through our state government, right? We can no longer rely. We have seen the gridlock that is occurring on the federal level. It is wonderful that we have expanded Medicaid here, but we need to be fighting for single payer. We need to be fighting for that universal health care so that our citizenry can. It's one of the hallmarks of what we're trying to do in my campaign. You cannot be concerned about your sick child. You cannot be concerned about your sick loved one when at the same time you are worried about paying your rent and paying your mortgage. How are we going to do that? We have to be willing to look at revenue sources to make sure the state can provide the Medicare and the Medicaid that are needed for our citizenry that is vulnerable. We have to be willing to stand up, raise our voice, and fight for that so that, again, people are never at risk of losing their home when they're time to pay their medical bills. So I will start by echoing what Kristen said, and I want to add to it. As an elected official, you're not simply an elected official, right? You're an elected leader. The other day I got to go to a Bangladeshi celebration. It was Bangladeshi New Year's this Sunday in Upper Darby. And someone was asking me, what are we going to do about the racism in this country? Increasingly the racism that we're hearing from the top. And what I told him was, something? I don't know how we get there and solve it completely. But I'll tell you how we start. And it's by you and me standing together, right? By someone that is an elected leader going out front and saying, we will not stand for this type of behavior. What Kristen talks about is also important. We need to be cognizant of what we are doing and how that is impacting our communities. Right now, policing and the regulations and what we ask of police officers increasingly puts them in spots where intrinsic racist sentiments come to fore, right? At those traffic stops, at incidents like we're calling someone from Starbucks because an African American person is waiting here too long. We need to rethink how we police communities. It's wrong. It's tearing communities apart. We shouldn't be putting police in that situation, and we shouldn't see the police officers going to that situation. Instead, what we need to do is institute trainings, and we need to institute sensitivities for those officers, and also from the legislature for those institutions that rely on police to support their needs. All of that is to say, the legislature plays a very important role in leading on the issue of sensitivity training and in providing the funds so that our institutions can go through the types of trainings and the type of programs that Kristen's talking about to make sure their policies aren't having this racist effect. Janice, we've talked a lot about this tonight. Let's start with marijuana, right? We are spending so much time and effort criminalizing this, punishing people for the possession of marijuana, for the sale of marijuana. This is a revenue stream that is available to us here and now. Let's turn to fracking. Fracking is something where 4% would net us $100 million, okay? 4% extraction tax, and as we've talked a bunch about tonight, this is all on the table, these are no secrets. 4% would yield $100 million. That is an extraordinary amount of money we can turn in for our schools. The final way is not necessarily a new stream, Janice, and we've talked a little bit about this as well. But Mike mentioned the no hold harm policy, which is to say no matter what size of your school district, you're going to keep the same amount of money. Warminster has lost over a third of its population up in Bucks County because, as we've heard all about all throughout the country, the plant closed, right? There aren't people there anymore. The congressional districts realign, the way we have representation changes on population, but the way we fund our schools hasn't kept up. By balancing that, by not taking anything away, but simply keeping the same ratios as previous, instead of doing dollar amounts, do ratio amounts. That will help fairly fund our schools and get money back into schools whose population is increasing rather than decreasing. So I think those are three very easy, very readily available streams. Well, so that's multifaceted, right? I mean, we have a robust field operation. In the past 3 weekends, we've hit over 2,500 doors. Last Saturday alone, we hit 800 doors in several different parts of this district. We also, and Janice, this is actually something that I'm really proud of my campaign has done. During the petition period, there are 20 boroughs and townships in the 26th district. We had people knocking on their neighbors' doors, which is to say people from the borough or township where they were knocking, collecting signatures in 18 of those 20. 65 unpaid volunteers collected 1,600 signatures, again, in their own neighborhoods. That's something that's going to be incredibly important. We can't rely on a base going out. We need to be here, there, and everywhere. It's also a matter of actually being here, there, and everywhere, right? Going to them. I've been to more committee meetings than I can count. And that has resonated. I think that's really, it's been valued in those communities already. That's why we've received endorsements from the Chester County Democratic Committee all the way up to the Upper Darby Democratic Committee. In between, we've got Mid-County and Alden as well. We have seen that communication style of being everywhere, being present, trying to work as hard as we can, not just to talk about these districts, but to actually be in these districts, to go the extra mile, to be present, and to, when we can't be present, have neighbors be there as our surrogates. That's incredibly important and something we're very proud of the effectiveness we've executed with. So I want to first of all thank everyone for being here, and I want to reiterate a couple of things that I think you've heard throughout this. Tim and I, Bonnie, we share almost all of the policy points. There's not a huge wedge between us on this issue or that issue, or how we are trying to do things, or where our heart is. It's the same place. But we need to win the seat. And to win the seat in a diverse district, in a district like this, is going to take a bunch of different skill sets. And when I got into this race, I've never run for anything before in my life. I had a hypothesis, though, that my experience as a DA, I was going to be able to talk to people. I worked with a lot of different people. I fought with a lot of different types of people who didn't necessarily look like me, who weren't necessarily where I was from. But by the end of it, we were together. We were together, and that was important to me. What I thought was I could come to this race and I could talk to a bunch of different types of people. In a district like this, that's what this is going to take, to go to every single door and to be comfortable no matter where you are. That has been borne out. I mentioned those endorsements earlier, from Willistown up to Upper Darby and a bunch of places in between. Not to pat myself on the back, but to say that's working. We are talking to a bunch of different types of people, and we're doing it in a way that is breaking through and people are excited about. That's how we win in November. We can't just say, we're Democrats, we hope you like us. We've got to fight, and we can't count on a wave. We've got to fight. I'm very proud to have 1199C, the hospital workers endorsement. It's one of the largest, most predominantly African-American unions in the country, and they're out there knocking doors with me every weekend. Again, these aren't just endorsements. These are actual, real, tangible things that represent the message we are trying to get through. I want to leave you with words that my boss actually spoke recently. I was honored to be awarded kind of like a Lifetime Achievement Award from a victim services group that I worked with. And what he said was, my district was Center City in North Philadelphia, and you saw all different types of people. But no matter who that was, they always walked away feeling like Tanner had cared about them, and he was with them. And he did that in the simplest way possible. He actually cared about them. I'm here because I care. I'm here to fight with all of you for what we care about, for our heart, for our values. That's why I'm running for this, and I'm hoping for your support. Thank you.